Happy to be here, brother.
Yeah, man, it's been a while. It's been a long time, hasn't it?
Yeah, yeah. But it's been a few. It's got to be a few years, isn't it? Two
About
years
two
at least.
years. I think we were in lockdown the last time that we got together.
Yeah.
And now was we were obviously at a mastermind recently with our coach. So yeah, good to see you again, brother. Do you want to do a quick intro to the world?
Yeah, of course, man. So, as Greg was saying, my name's Chris Feakins, and I am a type 2 diabetic specialist. My area of expertise is helping specifically right now ladies to help them lose 20 to 100 pounds plus, lower their A1C, and achieve clinical remission, which is an A1C below 5.6 without the help of meds. So, taking type 2 diabetes off as an active diagnosis. Yeah.
Nice. I like that. And you've got some powerful knowledge to share on this whole subject. So there was a post you put out the other day, which I love, by the way, and it said, "There's no special diabetes diet." Talk to me about that.
So the reality is weight loss for someone with type 2 diabetes is identical to pretty much anyone else who wants to achieve weight loss. There really is no difference. The same rules apply, whether you count calories or not, calories still count. And yes, there has to be a little bit of an emphasis on carbohydrates to some degree, but as long as the result of fat loss is achieved, then insulin resistance will be reduced and long term, remission can be achieved. But yeah, there's so much scaremongering around food. A lot of the ladies that I work with, not just my clients, but the ladies that I help in my free community. They go to the doctors and they get diagnosed with pre-diabetes or type 2 diabetes, and it's sprung upon them that they can't eat, bread, they can't eat rice. Don't eat anything that's white.
Food
Demonizing.
racism. Food
Yeah,
racism.
don't eat any of these foods, which, let's be honest, carbohydrates are some of the most highly palatable, enjoyable foods. That's somewhat subjective, but most of us, I put a post out on my Facebook, a few months ago saying, what's your one favorite food that you would struggle to give up? And I had like 150 individuals comment, and I counted them all, and every single comment apart from two or three, were carbohydrate dense foods like pasta, pizza, rice, bread. So, whenever you tell a group of people that they can't eat those foods, then you're going to create a big issue, a big problem with adherence, and well, not just adherence, but also that person's relationship with that food, because they're still going to eat it at some point. When they eat it, they're going to feel pretty pretty damn crappy.
And I think you just said a word there that is so big in my world too, because I help coach women as well, and it's adherence. Why is that so important?
Yeah, because if it's going to take you, let's just say 3, 6, 9, 12 months for you to reach your goal, then you need an approach which you can actually stick to for that amount of time, right? And that's not meant to sound scary either. 3, 6, 9, 12 months, because time's going to pass either way, right? So what do you want to do with that time? But yeah, it needs to be something that not only you can sustain until you actually achieve the end result, but also what do you learn in the process, which you can then apply to maintaining the goal at which you achieve. Because this is one of the big problems with any conventional diet, keto, paleo, Weight Watchers. The first problem is they are designed upon a set of rules. You can eat this, you can't eat that. That's what every conventional diet is, designed upon, right? You can eat this, you can't eat that. But the foods that you can't eat, yeah, those are some of your normal favorite foods, right? So good luck sticking to that. But even if you were a part of the, minority that does achieve the result following that approach, that's fantastic. You've achieved the result. That's good. But you're not going to eat that way forever. Why on earth would you? Yeah. So you get the diet. metaphorically speaking, you throw it in the bin. How do you eat now? Well, you return back to what you know, and what you know got you to where you were. And that might take months or years, but that's why the cycle of rebounds after dieting is so common. On these, not just dieting, but these conventional diets is so common because it's not something that you can necessarily apply to the rest of your life. You just follow these rules to get the result, and that's why it collapses.
Got it. And is that the biggest issue that you've seen the ladies that come to work with you suffer from?
Yes, definitely. It's trying to change, trying to restrict and take too much away, and trying to change too much too soon. Getting their life and turning it upside down and expecting to be able to stick to that, which, yeah.
And is that because they're all trying to beat the system? They're trying to get this amazing weight loss, get off medication in 12 weeks, when actually, like you said, some of them it's going to take 6 months to a year.
Yeah, exactly that. Exactly that. It's about trying to get it done as quickly as possible because it's miserable. Like trying to get to the end result as quick as possible because this absolutely sucks. Trying to cut out this and that. They know it's not sustainable. So yeah, and obviously a lot of the ladies that I help, just like with you, they're not happy with where they're at. They might be, they're not happy with what they currently experience. So sometimes there can be this big need rather than want. And whenever a goal is a need, it creates a whole different perspective around the journey and how things look. Whenever something doesn't go as planned, or whenever there's a hiccup or a stumble within the process, it's not just that brush myself off. It's this huge world-ending catastrophe where it then either leads to some strange binge and restrict cycle, or they just downright quit because they can't do it. That's what they think.
Yeah. And like you say, like words are so important. The word need kind of for me is always about desperation. Like I've got a list of things that I need to do. And they've been on that list for years. But the things I want to do, they get done, right? Every day.
Yeah, exactly.
So how important is that for the ladies that you coached about how they speak to themselves?
Very important across the spectrum, really. What we're talking about here, it's so important because you need to be able to give yourself grace in these scenarios where things don't go as planned. You need to be able to forgive yourself and be able to reflect upon that and really think about why it happened. First of all, there's three areas at which I like to look at with the ladies that I coach and the ladies that I help. If something doesn't go quite as planned, if something doesn't go to plan, there's usually one of these three reasons. It's environment. Yeah, something in that moment triggered that decision, whether it be the pastries at work, the birthday cake that someone brings in, or the cookies on the counter at home. Yeah, so environment. It's you, not you all of the time, just you in that moment. So bored, stressed, emotional, tired, and last but not least, you than just things you're not good at yet. So you want to be able to reflect upon these three areas and be able to pinpoint what the actual trigger was, so that you can work on adjusting those areas, not so it never happens again, but just so it doesn't happen quite as often. And the internal dialogue is really important around that as well, because if you're beating yourself up, telling yourself that I've failed, what's wrong with me, why can't I do this, then you're only going to continue down a spiral of making poor choices, because that is how you are truly feeling about yourself. And you're not going to go ahead and make a great choice all the while that you're beating yourself up.
So really, what we're saying here to any ladies listening is all of this is a skill that can be learned with a good coach. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly. All of this takes time. It sounds incredibly simple, me talking about this, but just like with any learned skill or learned behavior, it takes time, it takes repetitions. And sometimes you're going to feel like you're absolutely flying and you're doing really well. And then other times you're going to feel like you take 2, 3 steps back. But that's all right. That's okay.
And that's what I love, that you work with your women for such a long time, where I'm in the same boat, that my clients, when they come to work with me, we work for a long time. We're not gonna just hit you for 12 weeks, 6 weeks. Like, what do you think drives those 6 week plans that people go for?
Yeah, it's the sexy packaging, isn't it? This is what we can achieve in 6 weeks. And the action that is required in order for you to achieve those results in such a short period of time likely isn't going to be sustainable for the next 6 weeks after those initial first 6 weeks. But yeah, it's the way they're marketed. As we all know, fitness is it's an absolute mess when it comes to marketing. You've got people pushing, these carnivore diets, plants are poison. Vegetables are killing you. All of that type of stuff.
You made some faces when you talk about fitness marketing. Have you got some gripes about it?
Especially with the ladies that I coach. Absolutely. Yeah.
Go on,
Yeah.
share some of those, so the
Yeah.
ladies can hear what you
Yeah.
got.
It's, keto is the only way to lose weight and achieve remission. You must, you must be tracking your insulin must be below. You cannot spike insulin, more than once a day. All of this rubbish. Yeah.
For anyone watching, or listening to this, you won't see my facial expressions, but as Chris said about spiking insulin, I had to cover my face, because let's be honest, Chris, the truth is, if you don't spike insulin, there's a good chance you're going to die.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And we spoke about this when we saw each other last. There's all this. Carbohydrates cause fat gain because they cause a spike in insulin, right? That's what people say. That's not true. However, protein also causes a spike in insulin. So why doesn't protein cause fat gain too? There's so much misalignment within these claims and these beliefs. It's just wild. And what people don't also realize that they're actual, in regards to the people that I help, there are real uh, what's the word that I'm looking for? There are studies out there which are reliable human studies. That's the word I was looking for. Reliable, because that's key. There's lots of studies out there. Not every study is reliable. Okay, there's studies out there that claim that all kinds of wild things, but there are reliable human studies that have shown that you can actually lose weight and achieve remission with type 2 diabetes with a high carb diet. With a high carb diet. And that goes against everything that every doctor tells my clients. And this isn't my opinion, this isn't my theory, this is actual data that is out there. Like, this is true hard facts. It's possible. Yeah. So there's so much misinformation out there.
So your job as a coach, and our jobs generally as coaches, is to unravel those stories that people have got in their heads that says, hey, do you know what, you can have a little bit of cake if you want, like nothing's going to happen to you, you'll be okay.
Yeah, yeah. I say that to my clients all the time. Like, there is actually a benefit to overconsumption sometimes. When I say overconsumption, I mean over the dietary goals that we've got set. Yes, maybe you did consume a little bit more than what you intended to. Maybe you did enjoy a glass of wine and a piece of cake, but there are positives and advantages to doing so, because if you don't, what is the cost of not doing it long term? How do you feel by always saying no to those things? I can't do this, I can't do that. That is just chipping away every time at your whole what's the word I'm looking for? It's chipping away at it. Almost like creates, I don't like this phrase, but it almost creates diet pressure, right, over time. And how much of that pressure is built up before you just say, can't do this anymore, it's too difficult. So, indulging maybe what you would perceive as being a bit too much every now and then is actually okay. Good. It's healthy, balanced.
Yeah, it's normal. You don't
Normal.
indulge. I had a client recently actually, and she was like, "Oh, I don't want to eat ice cream," and I said, "All right, what we're gonna do? We're gonna put ice cream into MyFitnessPal every day for the week." I was like, "What?" I'm like, "Yeah, we're gonna put it in every day."
Yeah.
She only ate ice cream like twice that week because there are days when you feel like ice cream and days when you don't, and that's okay.
Yeah.
So in your coaching, you're more of you're a nutrition expert. I know you're a geek like me, but you're trying to sort out the big issue in people's heads.
Mm.
So how do you do that?
Yeah, so this is a little bit different for everyone, really. But I always like to say weight gain, and whether you're type 2 diabetic or not, weight gain and type 2 diabetes is a symptom of you. It's a symptom of your lifestyle, your habits, and your beliefs. Those things are the reason why you are where you are. And that doesn't mean, you're broken. There's nothing wrong with you. That's just human behavior. All right. And when I say lifestyle, habits, and beliefs, what I'm really referring to is, your relationship with food. Do you experience guilt after eating certain foods? Your level of preparation, time management, self-worth. Self-worth is, if you find yourself constantly making the poorer choice and always struggling to commit to you and the process, then it could be that there's a deep rooted, whether you're even conscious of this or not, that there is a deep rooted conflict with self worth and how you feel about yourself. And like I said, that might not even be conscious. You might not be able to put that into words right now, but that very often lays quite deep at the depth of our subconscious based upon whatever's happened in the past and the stories that you've told yourself based upon that, and then the beliefs that you then reenact and externalize into the real world.
Got it. Got it. So here's a question for you. If you're a type 2 diabetic, does that mean you have to do intermittent fasting?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. I would say maybe somewhere around 3/4 of the ladies that I coach intermittent fast. The other quarter don't, because it doesn't suit their lifestyle, it doesn't suit their schedule, it doesn't suit their personal preference. Maybe they just want to eat breakfast. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. They're not at a hindrance or anything like that. But no, it's not necessary. It's a tool that you can use to help if it suits. And that's it. There's this, all these are we've laughed about this in the past, haven't we? But all of these claims that are, related to intermittent fasting that just don't exist.
Autophagy.
Yeah.
Like, for example, autophagy. I think this is a good topic because you probably, the ladies who are listening probably heard that. But if I recall the study, it showed you your autophagy didn't actually increase until you were like 72 hours into a fast. So
Right.
you got to go 3 days fasting before your autophagy kicks up a gear.
Yeah. Yeah.
Crazy, isn't it? So, but people get sold all of
Hmm.
these um these stories. Funny enough,
Yeah.
as we keep
Yeah.
talking about it, these stories. Got it. So this has really helped the ladies get to know you a bit better. Have you got a coach?
Yeah. I've got a coach.
So why does a coach have a coach?
Why does a coach have a coach? Why does Usain Bolt have a coach? Right. So there's always getting an unbiased third party view on the things that you do is so important if you want to move forwards in the most efficient way possible. I as coaches, to some degree, we have experienced we experience some of the same challenges that our clients experience, just in a different just in a different world. So it's important to have, someone there that knows exactly what we want to achieve, so that they can set out a clear path for us to be able to follow, just like we do with the ladies that we coach.
And it's someone that can see your blind spots, because that's it's
Yeah,
really funny because obviously I coach ladies who are generally kind of like perimenopausal age, and
yeah,
the first thing that gets it, Greg, you're not a woman. How would you understand? I'm like, I understand it and I can empathize. I won't experience it, but it means I
yeah,
can see your blind spots, and it's the same for you, I guess. That
yeah,
you can see these ladies' blind spots.
yeah. Exactly. Yeah, yeah.
Cool, got it. And then, so when your clients are coming to you, what are the kind of things that they say stop them from losing weight?
Yeah, good one. So, putting others before themselves. So, a lot of the ladies that I coach are somewhere between 45 and 70. Pretty much all of them have got families off the top of my head, children, grandkids, and for the last how many decades, they've been putting the rest of the family before them. I think it's they have this guilt whenever they feel like they're prioritizing them, which is a fallacy. We know that's not actually true.
Mhm.
Um, that's the big one. Putting others before them. Time is another, which is another fallacy, because you've all got time. That's the truth. You just don't know how to simplify the process so that it doesn't require tons of time and energy. Because losing weight, and especially the ladies I coach, lowering their A1C doesn't require tons of time.
Well, this is always something I say to people where I'm like, the same amount of time it takes you to eat a pizza is the same time it takes you to eat some chicken and a nice veg filled meal.
Yeah.
Time is the same.
Yeah, exactly. And you already go shopping once a week. It's not like you'll never go shopping and you're eating takeaway or takeout, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You're already going shopping, so you're still going shopping. You're still cooking meals. Even if right now you're someone who isn't cooking your meals, then you haven't got to sit down and prepare a recipe with an instruction list of 2 pages. You can cook very tasty, easy meals in 10 to 20 minutes. 10 to 20 minutes, easy. You don't even got to be there watching it. You can go and do whatever else. It doesn't take much time. Um, Especially if you evaluate perhaps where you are spending your time elsewhere.
So, because I do this with my clients, right? I'll sit with them with their calendar, because my ladies are generally business owners, etc., business leaders, but I'll sit with them and go through their calendar. And it's so interesting to see the stuff that they've got booked in. You're like, what are you doing that for? Oh, it's just something I've always done. Do you see those kind of things?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, for sure. And it's to piggyback on that, time and how they spend their time. Sleep is a big problem. And the reason why is because there's this whole like getting revenge on the day type thing. It's 9, 10 p.m. I've had a tough, somewhat stressful, overwhelming, tiring day, and this is their time. So then they sit in front of the telly for an hour and a half. So the two things: there's time there being spent, but also there's you know a lack of sleep, which then rolls over into the next day. Ghrelins through the roof, appetites through the roof, energy's down here. So yeah,
So
sleep is a big one.
I want to eat chocolate like Slimer from Ghostbusters.
Yeah,
Got
yeah.
it. What other challenges do they come up with? So you said time, putting others first. What else is there?
Yeah, I've got sleep. Many of the ladies that I speak to have had in the past challenges with reaching for food when feeling stressed or emotional. Um, many of the ladies that I speak to will say, "I am an emotional eater," which, first of all, is a um, very detrimental statement to even leave your mouth, because "I am" is almost like definitive. It identifies you in many ways. This is who I am. This is what I do, and that is very difficult to then move away from. So I like to reframe that as I am not an emotional eater. I've got in the past I have reached for food when feeling stressed or emotional, or I have the tendency to reach for food when feeling stressed or emotional. Very subtle, but one is I have done this. One is I am, and this is who I am. So that's a big one. That's a big one for me, is helping them move through that, because reaching for food when feeling stressed or emotional is, it's habitual. It's a learned behavior. As much as people don't like to admit that, it's a habit, and breaking a habit takes time. It takes time. Breaking the connection, and that learned behavior could be established from whenever. It could be when you were 4 or 5 years old and you're upset and you're crying, and your mom goes, "Oh, have this ice lol, or this big sweet, this candy," and that's like harmless in the moment. All that actually does is builds, a connection between feeling emotional, food, and if that repeats, then before you know it, you've got this well established trigger between emotion and food, and that's becomes your coping mechanism for that.
Well, the pathways of your brain, and this is how skill partly is done, is that the neurons in your brain knit together if everything's going through the same pathway. So if you always reach for chocolate or lollipop every time you get a bit upset about something, it's going to be inbuilt. But like we said, I think emotional eating for me it's a skill. It's a skill that you've designed to cope with whatever, to give you a temporary hit of dopamine. Yeah. So how do you handle that with clients?
So first of all, it's changing the language. That's the first point. You are not an emotional eater. That is not who you are. You've just had the tendency to reach for food when feeling emotional. That's the first thing. The second thing would be creating some space in that moment, because whenever you are feeling stressed or emotional, you're in a very reactive state. Okay, so we want to try and shift from being reactive to being a bit more proactive. And we're not really, you might be knowing that you shouldn't be eating, this pack of Maryland cookies, but you eat it anyway, right? And you just go to the cupboard and you just do it. Whereas if you can just stop in that moment, ask yourself 3 questions. Yeah, acknowledge how you're feeling in this moment. How am I feeling? Am I stressed? Am I bored? Am I emotional? Okay. If this tube of Girl Scout cookies, I say that because my American audience, was a handful of nuts, would I still want it? Am I still hungry? Basically. Yeah. And last but not least, in 2 hours, will I be happy with my choice to eat this? No, absolutely not. I'm going to feel awful. Now, this is not waterproof. It's a little bit gimmicky, but if you can stop in that moment and create some mindfulness around it and really think about it, if that helps 50% of the time, then that's going to be incredibly, incredibly helpful. But there's lots of ways of tackling it, for sure.
You got to add in Cool Whip.
Say that again.
Cool Whip. It's
Cool Whip.
yeah, the American cream version, isn't it? So Girl Scout cookies and Cool Whip for our ladies that are listening to this show. Ethan's going to be proud of you, proud of us. So, and now I've just blown my whole train of thought. Do you know when that happens? When you're like,
Yeah, that's it now.
I'm going to jump in and give him that. Cool. So, what about exercise? Because obviously that's potentially a big barrier for many people. Especially if they feel like they've got a lot to lose and stuff. How do you deal with that?
So, approaching the topic of exercise, first of all, you've got to understand that there is no best type of exercise. The best exercise you do, the best type of exercise is the exercise that you do. End of. Yeah, end of. If yes, you could argue that weight training has got these benefits with maintaining muscle mass, bone density, and all these other things. Yeah, but if you try and get someone to weight train who hates weight training, then it's a waste of time anyway. Yeah. So the first focus is finding something that you at least enjoy. If you don't enjoy anything, that's fine. Something that you tolerate doing, and it's important to start gently too, because whenever this applies to any goal setting or intentions. Big problem is people set these huge lofty goals that rely on motivation to get done. And the problem with that is no one is motivated every single day. So what happens when you try and hit 10,000 steps tomorrow and you don't feel like it? You're not gonna. Now, I am not motivated all day, every day. The ladies we coach are not motivated all day, every day. So how are they able to get those results? Olympic athletes are not motivated all day, every day. So how do they go training every day? It's because it's just something that they do, because it's something that is so deeply engraved in their identity. It doesn't require tons of motivation. So over time, that is what we want to achieve. So start so easy, it's unfailable. 5-minute walk on your lunch break. Be specific. Can't just say I'm going to walk 5 minutes today, because that's going to rely on schedule, finding the right time, remembering. Is it going to be straight before work on your lunch break, as soon as you get home from work, before dinner, straight after dinner, whenever, doesn't matter. But yeah, that's the general that's how I like to approach exercise, trying to find something that the person enjoys or at least tolerates doing, and then starting off gently, because there's so many benefits to exercise. So the ladies I coach, blood sugars on top of that for everyone else. Obviously I've got maintaining muscle mass, bone density, cholesterol, blood pressure, mood, energy, sleep. I could go on all day, but the reality is, when it comes to fat loss, it's insignificant alone. It's insignificant. It's like taking a rubber mallet or a rubber hammer to demolish a brick wall. It's just going to keep bouncing off the brick wall. It's inefficient.
Yeah, you're gonna make dense in it.
Yeah, yeah.
Unless you adjust the diet. I'm gonna argue with you on motivation.
Go on.
I personally believe, and I've seen that everyone's motivated.
Mm-hmm.
What I think often is the problem is that the goal isn't emotional enough for them. They're not emotionally involved. Because we've all seen it, right? How many times have me and you had to do things for work and for clients, and we ain't motivated, but because we've got a bigger dream, we're like, yeah, we're gonna get it done. Or we've got our coach on our back with a little message going, wait, have you done what you gotta do?
Oi, didn't that yet? Didn't that yet? Yeah, yeah. That is true. That is true. Yeah, I think you've got to have an emotional anchor towards that result. Yeah, I guess you could almost um you could almost define motivation in a few different ways, couldn't you? But this is why, with the ladies that we work with, one of the first things we do is establish why they're even here. Why you're here? What's the point? Because if there is no reason, then I can't help you, because you're not ready to help yourself yet.
Woo!
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's so funny. I think there's been this thing that with getting a personal trainer or getting a PT or getting a coach, whatever you decide to do, like, we can't do the work for you.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm sure you felt the same, where someone maybe hasn't ever had a result, but it's actually because we wanted it more than they did.
Yes. Yeah. And that's easy as a coach, because we're so invested in what we do and we enjoy it so much that every now and then you can't help getting the few that maybe aren't quite as interested as you. That happens. It happens.
Does it hurt you as well, like me, when clients don't respond to stuff? I'm like,
Yeah. Yeah.
what's going on? Are they all right? Are they alive? What have I done wrong?
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Exactly.
See, ladies, listen to this. We care. Us coaches care. We want the best for you, but you've got to want it more than we do. Once we got,
Mhm.
for sure.
We
So
want it a lot. You want it a lot more than us.
oh, a lot. Chris has just dropped the hammer on that one. A lot. Yeah. Read that again. Listen to that again. A lot. So just talk to us about what your programs are. What have you got? Well, how can people reach out and go, this guy sounds like he can help me? What's your program?
Yeah, so my biggest presence in regards to where you can find me is Facebook. To be honest, in regards to how we coach people, our flagship program is a one-to-one coaching program, pretty much. There is a group aspect to it, but it is still very much still one-to-one. That's like a bespoke daily handheld one-to-one coaching. Where we're with that person every single day, from the day that we start to the day that we finish. We track everything. You know, in regards to I track everything and give them daily feedback on food, dietary. I'm in their pocket every day, basically. And then that other coaching program is something which is being released on the 15th of May. For
Okay.
those of you that listen in the future, 15th of May 2023, which is our one-to-one coaching program is called the Diabetic Inner Circle, and this new coaching program is the Diabetic Membership. So it's a low financial investment program, $7 a month, where I get all of my knowledge, put it into one place, and put it through a coaching program that is easily followed with, obviously no one-to-one coaching involved, but there is still, support group and Q&As and things like that.
Sounds awesome. Got one question before we go that I think every woman probably wants to help. So if I'm one of your ladies, I'm like, Chris, I'm eating in a calorie deficit, but I'm not losing weight. What do I say?
I'd say, unfortunately, you're not in a calorie deficit. Even if you think you are, even if you're tracking everything that you eat and you're eating 1,400 calories, well, that's what your tracking says. You're not, and that's not, a dig at you or anything like that. I'm not saying you are intentionally lying. Okay, there could be some things that maybe don't make their way in, but I'm not saying you're intentionally lying. What I'm saying is you need to be more accurate, weigh and measure, use the barcode feature, input everything that you eat. You've also got to bear in mind that there's a 20% room for error on nutritional labels, especially in America. So there's always that. But yeah, there was a study that found that they had a group of participants into a room across 3 days. They had to track what they ate, and they underreported on average by 429 calories a day. Now that's the difference between staying the same weight or losing pretty much a pound a week. That's significant. Obviously, there are conditions, there are things like hypothyroidism, which can lead to a reduction in basal metabolic rate, reduction in metabolism, and therefore can make it more challenging, but that person can still lose weight. And obviously, especially with medication that's available nowadays, if you are properly medicated, that's actually not going to have barely any negative impact on fat loss.
So basically, ladies, you need the calorie deficit to lose weight.
Whether you're counting calories or not, calories still count.
Well, it's that classic of what you do in private shows in public.
Yeah.
Like you can't.
I like that.
Yeah, you can have that one, brother.
You see a post on my Facebook tomorrow.
Yeah, I know.
With a little
credit. What's some credit?
Chris Feakins.
What's some credit? In the comments will be fine. In the comments. So this has been awesome to catch up with you, man, and keep sharing the love. Just a quick question: how are you training at the minute? How do you train?
Yeah, so training 5 days a week at the minute with an upper lower split. So upper 3 times. So a push focused, a pull focused. No, so a chest focused, sorry, a pull focused, and a shoulder focused. And then 2 lower body days. One's a squat day and one's an RDL day. Yeah.
Swap it around.
Well, good. I've been following it exactly, and this is what I believe everyone should do. Don't swap it around too often. But I've been following this same program for got to be 12 months, so I'm due to have a little bit of a swap round now, to be honest. But for you ladies listening, don't change your workout every week.
Oh yeah, that myth of I've got to change my workout every 4 weeks.
No, hammer the same one and get really good at those same movements for months, not weeks. I mean months and months.
But Chris, you're not selling it enough. You got to sell it some more. You got to tell you're going to be.
Oh, not confusing the body.
Yeah, you got. Like this is a really good point. Confusing the muscles and all the rest of it. Like your muscle really only knows one stimulus, really.
Yeah.
And it's like extend and contract.
Yeah.
Extend, underload, contract, underload. That's literally it. It can't do anything else. But this whole body confusion thing is just makes me a bit sick. I feel a bit sick when that happens.
That's a high row this time, not a low row.
Yeah, it is crazy though, isn't it? How
Yeah.
again trying to change things all the time, and it's ironic because you've probably done the same habits for a long time to get where you are, and now
Yeah.
you, yeah, this doesn't quite compute, does it?
No, no, no. But yeah, like we said, I'm nursing a little bit of a niggly shoulder at the minute. It's getting better though. It's getting better. So
Looking after it.
looking after it.
Good,
Yeah.
you had some brick loving on it recently, so
Yeah.
it should be right. So, where can people find you if they want to learn more about your knowledge and they want to get off meds? How do they
Yeah,
find?
so come and find me on Facebook, Chris Feakins. I've also got a free group, a support group, a community with almost 6,000 individuals in it, which is pretty cool. And honestly, pretty much everything that I coach is inside that group. You can go in there and find it all. I genuinely believe everything that you could ever need to lose weight and achieve your goals of remission is quite literally there in that group. It's just you need to do it, which is often where you need to get a coach. You know what to do, you're just not doing it.
Oh, that immortal line, isn't it? I know what to do, but I'm not doing it. And
Yeah, that's the hardest thing. I
well,
know what to do. Easy. Google, Facebook, YouTube. It's everywhere. All the information you need is there. The problem isn't knowing what to do. Well, some people are misinformed. Don't get me wrong, but the problem isn't always knowing what to do. It's just you need to know how to implement it in a consistent manner for the next however long.
rest of your life.
Yeah, yeah,
Rest of your life.
yeah,
Cool. Thanks, brother. It's been a pleasure.
yeah.
So ladies, if you're diabetic and you want some help from Chris, then check out the links in the show notes. Hit the review button. Give us a 5-star rating on Apple, and we'll see you on the next side, on the other side, with
Thank
some
you for having me, man.
anytime, man. It's been a long time. It's been good to catch up. I feel like I speak to you more now, which is good. I feel good now. I've had my Chris Loving. Especially as I'm not on Facebook anymore. I'm like, oh, been a bit lost over on LinkedIn myself. Yeah, man, good to have you, and
Yeah,
it'd be good to have you back at some point as well.
yeah, man. Of course. Be happy. I'll be happy to be back.
You got to give a shout out to a special someone, by the way.
Lisa. Hello, Lisa. Hope you enjoyed
So
it.
just what I mean by that, so ladies, client of Chris's, who's awesome, uh,
Yeah, she is.
good soul, but she's been Chris's client for like how many years now? For 3, 4 years or something, I don't know.
Yeah, it's been a little while. Yeah, yeah,
She's changed massively since you've been working with her. So
absolutely.
Chris
She's
knows
awesome.
Chris knows his stuff, ladies. So on that note, we'll catch you on the other side. Talk soon.